Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
So I've got a controversial topic for you today. In today's episode of the Childcare Bridge, we're going to talk through, do you disclose pricing upfront on your website, over the phone, or do you save that for the tour and the actual demonstration, the experience, the excitement of when they're there live? So every now and then, I get it wrong. And this is the topic that I can tell you that for the last 5 years, while I feel that I've got it right for most of it, the answer to this question and the way that I'm teaching it and how I'm suggesting you pivot has changed. For the last 5 years, I have encouraged every center that we work with to never disclose price. That means when someone calls in, that means when someone visits your website, sends an email, fills out a form, sends a message on Facebook, all of the different places. I have highly suggested that unless someone pushes, and says they have to know the price, that you don't disclose it. And the reason that I've been suggesting that is that for a lot of centers, they don't do an amazing job on the branding side of things. They don't differentiate their center. They look like every other run-of-the-mill daycare center, preschool, etc. And if that's the case, and we're going to talk this whole thing through today, it's going to be tough unless you have some of those things in black and white to disclose price and to actually still get the tours and the enrollments. But here's what's shifted in the last 6 to 12 months, and it definitely has been accelerating quicker than I expected. The younger generation, and it's crazy that I'm even saying younger generation, like where does time go? Still feel somewhat young, but I know that my age is not going the other direction. They prefer, if at all possible, to not even talk to a human. They prefer not to do business with people that don't have online portals. There's an entire generation of people that their doctors are chosen based on, do they have great portals and can you send text messages, or do you have to call in for appointments, and they don't do any telemed. People are getting to the place, not everyone, but they're getting to this place where self-service, self-selection, being able to do things on their time. So people are getting to the place where they want to be able to control the experience. They want to be able to control the buying sequence on their time. They don't want to have to just fill out a form, answer some questions, schedule a tour, wait for another call. They want to be able to see as much as possible up front. That's why if you look at a completely different business that notoriously has a terrible reputation, which would be buying a new or used vehicle, in terms of experience, it's rated as one of the most stressful things. People are getting to the place where they want to see the price up front, but they want to know, what am I getting for my trade? Here are the pictures. And I'm a living example of this twice. I said, I have no intention of walking into your dealer. I've already picked out the vehicle that I want. I don't need to test drive it. I don't want to talk to 10 salespeople and a sales manager, and I don't want that experience. Here's the mileage. Here's the VIN number. Here are the photos. Give me your best offer. Here's the vehicle that I want. Let me know what the best price is. Plain and simple. And I did all the business literally through email and text I drove 8 hours to get the vehicle that I wanted. I walked in. Most, if not all, the paperwork was already done. Any negotiation was already done. It was signing papers, handing keys to the vehicle that I traded in. They demoed the vehicle, and I was out the door in about 60 minutes. Done. So if you know that that expectation is starting to become reality, you're going to have to get to a place where you openly display your tuition. And when I say openly display, I'm referring to step one, it's open on your website and on social media. Step two, you get to a place where if people want to click add to cart or to literally enroll, it can not only automatically enroll them, but then also charge their credit card and or bank account. And of course, we're going to pass through those credit card expenses, or we're just going to raise the tuition accordingly. So if you want to allow families to pay with the credit card, they're going to have to pay that give or take 4% fee. So that's kind of step two, phase two. So let's talk through some of the kind of disclaimers for executing this. So the first one I already alluded to earlier in the conversation, and that is if your website does not do a great job at showing how you're different, showing how you're unique, talking about everything that families and the kids are getting at your center, you have to start there. Otherwise, even if all the other centers don't disclose pricing, they go and they take tours at 3 other centers, and then they look at your pricing, and let's say that you're on the higher side. If they can't clearly see why you are on the higher side, here's why you're commanding premium tuition, they're going to compare you apples to apples, and they're going to say, well, you're at this tuition, they're at this one, everything looks the same. This one, you're a little closer, but I'm going to go here to save the $300 a month. Now, the tuition thing obviously varies drastically across the boards. I get it. I understand that there are all different ages and all that kind of fun stuff. I've been in this industry for 12 plus years. We work with hundreds of centers. I know every nuance about tuition that there is. So let's just kind of talk this through a little bit in that last example. So if your website, if your branding, your not even letterhead, but your brochure, if everything looks the same, hey, we provide a safe environment and we have good teachers, and if everything is very similar, we need to find some ways to differentiate you. Now, one of which is exactly what I'm teaching you today, and that is the disclosed price. Less than 10% of childcare centers disclose price on the internet and or over the phone. So 1 in 10. So you're already in the minority if and when you start to do this. But I need you to look at your service offering, your product, the care, and make sure that it is black and white why you are better. Example, if I go to your website and you're charging premium tuition, so let's say the average tuition in your community is $250 a week, and pick any age, doesn't really matter. So let's assume that's pre-K, $1,000 a month. Decent tuition for some people, modestly low for others, high for others. It varies. I mean, I've seen as low as $400 or $500 a month. The highest that we've ever seen and worked with was $1,500 or so a week. So give or take $6,000 a month. So there's obviously a huge variance. But let's say everyone else is in that $1,000 a month range, $250 a week, and you're $400 a week. So 1,000 versus 1,600. They went and they took some tours at some of these other centers, but let's say that you are a Reggio Emilia inspired center, or you're completely Reggio Emilia. I want to make sure on your website, when you're disclosing the price, the investment, the tuition, you're calling out all these different things. You're calling out the fact that they're getting organic meals. You're calling out that it's organic soil and they're growing their own food and they're growing things that can be brought home to the family, and that the diapers are completely organic or bamboo. You're calling out every single thing that makes you different to command what I would argue in that case is premium tuition. So you might write something like, in an attempt or in an effort to be fully transparent, we know that we're not for everyone, but we also want to fully disclose the tuition. Here's the tuition, and then below, here is why your child's going to thrive here, and all the extra things that we do that no one else does. There are centers that I've looked at that they give more value than anything I've ever heard of. They don't even charge a premium price, and then none of that is on the website. There's one center that we work with that they will guarantee that your child leaves trilingual: English, Spanish, French. 3 languages. Now, they talk a little bit about that on the website, but they don't talk about the guarantee. They don't say this is our proven process. So all of these things need to be talked about. So before you start putting your pricing, your tuition on the website, you need to do a website audit. Make sure that the brand matches your tuition. Make sure that everything is tidied up. If your website is multiple years old, contact us. That's what we do all day, every day. You can't have an old-fashioned looking website anymore. That used to work 10 plus years ago. That does not work anymore. You need to understand the concept called marketing in the moment. Understanding where your potential families are, where they're going, what devices they're using, to where you're meeting them where they are at in that moment. The chances are very high that they're looking on their cell phone or on an iPad, for example, in the evening. You have to give them all of the tools and resources for them to make a buying decision and to speed up that decision. Now, the other amazing things that this does by putting out the price and or tuition up front. Number 1 is it actually improves trust. Your buyers, your families, they want to know this, and they are much more likely to purchase from someone who is upfront on the pricing, rather than coming to a center and then there's this fee and that fee and there's a registration fee and then there's a SMOC fee and all these things that they didn't know about up front. In disclosing all that, they are walking in, they're more primed and ready to have that conversation. Number 2, your no-shows to tours is going to drastically improve. The average no-show it's higher than you might expect. The average no-show is almost 50%. So 1 in 2 people that book a tour no-show to that tour. The average no-show when you are presenting tuition up front is less than 10%. Now, life gets in the way and people will no-show, but if they know the tuition already, the buyer, the parent, the family, they're also going to be in a much better position to buy because they already know that. It additionally eliminates the awkwardness with the director, where you're not having to be selling them on the tuition because they've already seen it. Now, we're doing this exact same thing, not only at the centers that I have, but across every one of my businesses. Our process used to be, you'd fill out a form, schedule a call with one of our representatives, we would size up your needs, and then give you a price, send a proposal. We're going to just disclose all that up front. Here's the price based on the boxes that you checked, so you know this up front. Stage 2, as I talked about then, is you can actually start collecting credit cards, having people enrolling right on the website. Imagine that you wake up tomorrow and you've got multiple families that already paid the deposit, month 1 tuition, they fill out all of your forms, they signed everything, and they're already getting emails to indoctrinate them on all things that are going on at your center. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. So my action step for you is step 1, make sure that your website, your social media, your brand, your flyers, that all matches the type of brand, the type of centers that you're trying to convey and show the universe. If you're premium and your website looks like a website built 20 years ago, there's going to be a disconnect. So get all that stuff done first, make that stuff happen. Number 2 is have the tuition page on your website, and also then give the details to your team when people are calling in. This is exactly how you're going to handle the pricing questions. So in the past, you would say you've got to come in and there's different scholarships. You can still mention different scholarships and incentives on the website, but let them know, and give ranges depending on the number of days. It's from here to here. You're still aiming to get people to come in for the tour and to kind of seal that deal, but now they already have the information. So every now and then, probably happens more than I'd like to admit, as I call a trend a little bit wrong. But I did feel that for a couple of years this was the right move, but with the way that consumer behavior has changed, this is a strategy, a tactic that I want you to get on, start to move quickly. The faster you can get this executed, the better you're going to be off over the next 6 to 12 months. As always, Michael Tasner signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.